Poor Sanji in this episode of One Piece. That ending, it just had me thinking to myself, poor Sanji. Dude thought he was in there like swimwear, and he got shot down pretty hard. Like, my heart bleeds for you, bro. So this episode had a couple of things going on. For starters, Bartolomeo hears that Straw Hat is there, and he's starting to put two and two together, and we see some sort of reaction with him. Now, it seemed a little bit nervous, but at the same time, you really can't tell exactly what his response was to hearing that. You could just see that it was like a attention to it, and like, you know, he took notice to it, as if he has some sort of either agenda regarding Straw Hat or just some sort of connection or something, because he had a very strange reaction with it. So definitely setting up for Bartolomeo and something, you know, further on with him, and maybe a possible connection to Luffy, or whatever the case may be. You could see whether it's a grudge, whether it's, you know, he's a former comrade, whatever it may be. It was definitely setting up for that. And I think one of the best things that this episode provided was character development for Bellamy. I felt as though the character development we got for him was actually pretty good, because he was brought back, and it kind of makes you wonder why Oda brought him back if he was just going to lose in that round anyway. And it was just like, he came, you know, he got embarrassed or whatever, but he actually seems to have changed quite a bit. Even Luffy says, you've changed. And then for him to tell Luffy, no, you're the one who's changed, you've gotten so great with your hockey and everything, and that just shows progression in him, because the old Bellamy would have just been like, fuck you, while he's getting dragged away on that stretcher. So definitely some good character progression for him, and character development for that matter. And it was just good to see that he's changed somewhat. So everything that he's been through from the last time we've seen him till now, it amounted to something, and it wasn't just a complete waste of bringing him back, as, you know, we see in this episode that he's changed somewhat. Now, the whole Law, Robin, Caesar, and Usopp versus those giant fish, it was whatever in this episode. I felt as though out of everything that happened in this episode, this was the one thing where I just really didn't care for it. The art looked nice, the animation was actually pretty decent with that particular part, but as a whole, it just felt like a giant waste of time, because it wasn't anything really like, you know, Doflamingo's there. It was mainly getting set up for the meetup where they're supposed to exchange and whatnot, and it was just them fighting these giant fish and Caesar turning into a balloon, and it was mainly meant for comedy, but in all honesty, it felt like a big waste of time for me, and a big waste of the episode. And I know some of that is canon, but it felt like it was definitely stretched beyond belief to make it, you know, fit more time. And I was just like, yeah, some of it, while it seems alright, it was just as a whole, they're fighting fish. We're wasting time, them fighting these giant fish, and while they were killer fish or whatever, yeah, they're supposed to be like, you know, killer fish, nonetheless, they're fighting fish. So definitely wasn't a fan of that, and ultimately it just felt like it wasted a good chunk of the episode of them fighting some killer fish. And apparently things got funky, because we got a setup for the next match, and we got the Funk Brothers, we have Psy and the Hapu Nation with Don Chin Jiao. So we got a next setup for the match, so we got a good setup there. But as a whole, for the most part, aside from Don Chin Jiao and like one or two other people, this next matchup is again a bunch of people that we really don't know. They haven't proven themselves, so it's not that you could even really get excited about. You just gotta look and say, well, this character design looks okay, I guess. So it wasn't really all that exciting to see any of these people, aside from, again, Don Chin Jiao, that, like, okay, we know a little bit about him. He has some history with Garp, so he might prove to be formidable. But aside from him, it's just like, okay, a bunch of, you know, blue gillies in there. We don't even know them, so it wasn't anything to get you excited. It was just nonetheless progressing that a new match is starting up, and we got a setup for it. And the ending was Sanji. It felt like, oh man, he finally got it. You know, he reached it. He has a girl, finally. There's some love. And then it just was ripped away, because after he saves her from them, it was all a setup, and she handcuffs him and says, I want you to die for me. And I felt bad, because the voice actor actually did a really good performance, and being, you know, surprised. He's like, Violet, what happened? You know, and it really made me feel bad for the character, because he has always been wanting a lady, and he finally gets one and just gets ripped away, and she tricks him. I'm sure that hurt him deeper than any punch or kick can do to him. So definitely feel bad for the character, but at least it progressed in that aspect that, yes, she was indeed tricking him this entire time. So it's like, oh, fuck, poor Sanji. But as a whole, this episode, it had its fine moments. I felt the Robin and them stuff was just like a big waste of time. It was progressing in a sense that they're going for their meetup, but as a whole, they were fighting fish, and it was just like, come on, really? Do you really think they're going to get hurt by some fish? So that part really wasn't necessary. I like the character development with Bellamy, to see that he was brought back with a purpose, that he's actually changed everything that he's seen, and he's not that bad of a guy anymore like he used to be. And also that setup with Bartolomeo makes you interested in, like, who is Bartolomeo? What possible connection could he have to Luffy? That he seemed surprised, and he just seemed interested in finding out that Straw Hat is there. So as a whole, I give it a 6 out of 10. Fine episode. Let me know what you guys think. Favorite moment of the episode. What do you think is Bartolomeo's connection to Luffy, if any at all? Does he have a grudge similar to Cavendish? What do you think is up with that? And do you feel bad for Sanji? I'm not gonna lie, the episode ended up with me like, Poor fucking Sanji. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thumbs up if you want to see what the hell Violet's goal was or motive in tying up Sanji and having him there. Like, why do that to the man? He wouldn't give you anything. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.